everybody, and welcome back to DDL Diplin Draft League Week 4. Last week's matchup was funky when it comes to recording. I didn't do any commentary after because something was all messed up. I don't know what was going on with that stuff, but yeah, I tried to splice it together best I could. It wasn't a great match anyway, so we're moving forward to this week. This week we are going up against probably our toughest challenge yet in the Sinister Spectres? No one really knows how to pronounce that horse's name. I'll just call it Calyrex Ghost. The Calyrex Ghost Sinisters. Meowscarada, Galarian Slowking, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Hisuian Goodra, Regieleki, Miss Mages, Regice, Doug Trio, Cobalion, Gyarados, Carbink, Cutiefly. I almost look at this team and think you can't even afford to have that many good Pokemon in it, but you can. It's terrifying. Ursaluna Blood Moon is the scariest piece of that team. Surprisingly, his third overall pick, which means it was there in the third round. It makes me question, should I have focused a little bit more on some of these powerful new Pokemon? I'm not super familiar with all the new Pokemon and what they can do in a draft league, but now I'm learning. He's also got the Meowscarada and the Slowking. Meowscarada can hit hard. The Protean ability makes it very difficult to take down in one shot, unless you can guess right, which you never know. Cobalion, scary because it's got your good old heavy slam ability, your body press, high defensive. It can also do some swords dancing. You know, it can really make itself a threat. It's going to probably lay Stealth Rocks. Regieleki is just super fast. Miss Magius on its own, I wouldn't be super worried about, but it's got that Fairy or the Terra typing, the Terrestrial Terra. Regice is just a special wall to go along with the special wall with Hisuian Goodra. And Doug Trio is super fast and could take out a Pokemon with a Focus Sash, so we're going to maybe want to get some spikes down. We'll see if we can make that work. But overall, yeah, terrifying team, tough matchup. Not expecting to win, but I have tried very hard to put together the best possible team this week, and we will see what happens. I'm a little confident. Not overconfident, but I am confident that I can at least put up a good fight. Even if I lose, if I can keep it to a small loss, that would be nice. I think this might be the only 3-0. This is the only undefeated team left that I will be facing this season. It would be nice to get a win, but yeah, if we can keep it close, I'll be happy. So, over to the team. This week, we are back with Tony, the Incineroar. This week, it's wearing heavy-duty boots. As always, it has the Intimidate ability. And I am going with 0 stab attacks on this Incineroar this week. Call me crazy, but I am going U-Turn, Roar, Will-O-Wisp, and Earthquake. We are maxing out its HP and its special defense, and giving it a little speed so it can outspeed the likes of Galarian Slowking and possibly the Goodra if the Goodra doesn't have any EV investment. I gave it 8 in case the extra 4 were poured into one of those Pokemon, so we should outspeed those. We've got the U-Turn because I think I'm most likely going to be leading with Tony, assuming he leads with Meowscarada, which he has done 3 weeks in a row. Of course, he could change it in the 4th week just to mess with me. But I'm going to just plan. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to plan for him to lead with Meowscarada. I'm going to have the U-Turn. If he leads with something else, hopefully we can hit it with an Earthquake or a Roar or a Will-O-Wisp. But if he leads with Meowscarada, I'm probably going to try for the U-Turn. That way, if he U-turns or switches out or basically uses any attack that after Intimidate won't do a ton of damage to us, I can then go ahead and switch into something that is better suited to play Meowscarada. I think worst case scenario would be if he goes for a low sweep with Meowscarada, because that's going to do at least half our health, especially on the physical side, but I need the special defense for some of his other Pokemon. So yeah, Tony, basically U-turning first turn, seeing where we go from there. Next, we have Banana Pancakes, the Amoonguss. This is the first week, I believe, that I'm bringing Amoonguss, unless I brought him last week in that absolute, just awful match that I was in. But we are going a very weird set. Assault Vest Amoonguss, along with the Regenerator ability. This makes it somehow incredibly special defensive, while also giving it the ability to attack pretty hard, especially against that Ursaluna Blood Moon. If he brings in Ursaluna, I have to immediately switch into Amoonguss. If he attacks, I will be going for a Grass Knot to get as much damage as I can. I'm worried about the Calm Mind on the Ursaluna, but hopefully that doesn't come back to be an issue because we can take a Calm Minded hit from it. That is Amoonguss. Weird set with the Assault Vest, but I'm hoping it works out. We then have Toxapex, who is pretty balanced between defense and special defense. It's our other pivot this week with Regenerator. Rocky Helmet, specifically for any triple axles that we might get the Meowscarada coming at us with. Toxic, Recover, Baneful Bunker, and Infestation, which will keep one of his Pokemon in and unable to switch out, while also doing a little bit of damage, and hopefully we can stall with some Recover and get some chip damage there. Toxapex, yeah, it doesn't have a specific Pokemon it needs to go up against, it's just there for pivoting. We then have Katniss the Iron Valiant, going with a special attacking set once again this week. This is because if it comes down to Ursaluna, we need to be able to hit Ursaluna where it counts, and Ursaluna has massive HP and massive defense. We will be going with the Aura Sphere, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Moonblast. This Katniss does outspeed anything outside of them having an Assault Vest on. Not Assault Vest, Choice Scarf on. The Quirk Drive helps us do that. We have to bring in Katniss in last unless we can get some of his faster Pokemon out of the way first and early. Otherwise, I need to just sweep it and then Katniss. Not Fugly, the Ogerpon is back this week, coming with a very offensive set as well in the Ivy Cudgel, Knockoff Superpower. We need to be very careful about using Knockoff because his Cobalion could have the Justified, or probably will have the Justified ability. We don't want to be raising that thing's attack, but it has a couple good moves. I'm thinking the Superpower will be a surprise. If he brings in anything Steel typing, planning for Ivy Cudgel, I can go for the Superpower and get a lot of damage off on that Pokemon. Of course, anything he has with a Rest attack with Rest is going to be a pain in the butt as well. I can see Kudra having that. But if he brings in Regice and we can get a Superpower off of that, would be huge, because Regice is much more special defensive than defensive. And then we have Chompy the Goat, Garchomp, this week coming in with a set that I just at the last minute decided to use. I was originally going with a Dragon Scale, whatever, blah 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 attack. But I decided instead of lowering my defense to get that speed boost, let's just Scarf it. Let's bring 4 useful attacks. That Dragon Rush will not be Dragon Rush. That will be Dragon Claw. I don't know how that got in there. Sorry about that. Dragon Claw, there we go. It's going to be hopefully a sweeper. Again, try to keep it closer to the end. That being said, if he switches into something early that I need Chompy to take out, we'll not be afraid to go into it again. The Choice Scarf lets us switch back and forth. I'm thinking Cobalion, we're going to want to attack with this thing. Probably the Gudra. Gudra we have to be careful on, because if Gudra goes for a Draco Meteor, we are dead. But yeah, just gotta play it by ear as the game goes on. Hope you enjoy the team and the battle this week. Wish me luck! Alright everybody, here we are for the post-mortem battle review, but you'll be seeing the battle for the first time. So, right off the bat, what I notice here is we do not have an Ursaluna. That was like one of my biggest threats or fears going into this battle, and he didn't bring it, which was actually really smart on his part, because Ursaluna probably would have gotten killed by Valiant. It wouldn't have done super great against Garchomp. It wouldn't have done great against Ogerpon, and then I obviously set up my Amoonguss specifically to take out that Ursaluna. The big difference we do see here, mostly expected Pokemon, but we do have the very speedy Dugtrio, and we have a Mismagius. I was worried he might bring one of those. I did not expect both of those to come along. I can almost guarantee we're going to see a Fairy Terra Mismagius now, and then that Dugtrio, we do have to watch out for the Arena Trap. I'll be playing this video on slow speed so that we can commentate the whole thing. But yeah, let's get underway, because this was definitely going to be the toughest battle we had for the season. Alright, and so I planned for him to lead off with Meowscarada. I felt like, because he's done it every week so far, I had to just assume it. I wasn't positive he would. Obviously, he could change it up. And once you figure, he did change up to his Mismagius, which now, at least right off the bat, we get to see. It is the Fairy Terra type, which is what I expected. This Tony is built very buffy, but it's built with a lot of bulk, so I was okay staying in on this. And I went for a Will-O-Wisp just in case he did switch out here to something else, wondering if I would do a knockoff. I figured maybe he goes into Cobalion to get that Justified boost. But I think the safest play for me, get the burn on Fluttermane, then he switches out, and we now do see, it looks like he anticipated me switching, which I of course did switch. I don't hate the switch to Amoonguss. I was kind of worried he would go to Dugtrio here, and he didn't, which is a little nerve-wracking. But I brought Hex, So I show him the Hex and get a little damage on that, and then he goes into Meowscarada. I don't have anything fantastic for Meowscarada because it will change its Terra typing. So I go into the Toxapex planning for an Ice and, you know, the Ice one, the Triple Axle. He does not go for the Triple Axle, though. He looks to stay ahead in the momentum. He wants to keep the momentum, and he goes for the U-turn. Gets some chip damage on Toxapex, and then goes into the Dugtrio. This is very terrifying. I have no choice but to stay in because of the Arena Trap, and wouldn't you know it, he kills me. So Toxapex down, huge issue for us because that Toxapex would have been very useful against a lot of his team. Well, not so much without the Ursaluna, but then I go in with Tony to try to get the attack drop. He kills Tony as well, and now I'm pretty sure this is a choice abandoned Dugtrio. It's going to outspeed pretty much everything on our team. So I am now down 2 of my defensive pivots, not great, but I switch over to Ogerpon, and he switches over to the, what's this guy? Cobalion, Cobalt Platinum. I went for Spikes here, wondering, because I didn't know what he would switch into, and I figured I might want to stop him from continuously switching so much. He stayed in, though, for the Superpower, which I was pretty happy to see. He went for the Stealth Rock, which is what I expected. Now, I think he knows I cannot stay in on a Heavy Slam or anything like that, so I finally decide to bring in Chompy. I need to start getting that damage off. Fun fact, I did, right before this battle, switch off of having a Scale Shot Loaded Dice Garchomp to having a Choice Scarfed Garchomp. Unfortunately, that I think is going to come back to bite me here. I anticipate that he's going to anticipate the Earthquake, and I go for the Iron Head, thinking he'll go into Mismagius with Levitate. He decides to stay in on this, very interestingly. So I luckily get the flinch, but now I'm going to be forced to switch again because I am Scarfed. If I was not Scarfed, I could have just knocked out Cobalt Platinum right there, instead of having to take this body press from it. Super frustrating, probably a mistake on my part right there. But we're not in the worst place because I do outspeed Cobalt Platinum with the Ogerpon, and we get the knockout there. So we're down, we're damaged, but I mean, he's taken damage off of a couple of his mons now. There comes back in the Meowscarada, get a little more chip damage. Obviously, I think he's just trying to force out the switch here. I decide I have to stay in because I'm just going to die to the Stealth Rock as soon as I do. Basically, as soon as I switch back in with Ogerpon, I'm forced to die, so I might as well just stay in and take the death now and get the clean switch. I don't have a ton to take down the Meowscarada, and he U-turns into a Slowking, which now I'm like, okay, it looks like I'm stuck with Garchomp. And now it starts to get into the mind games, because I need to decide if I am going to Earthquake here and just go for the knockout, or if he is more likely going to switch here. But last time I planned for the switch, and he didn't switch. So it's like the mind games are going on back and forth, and I really just need to predict correctly. This time I decide I am on my back foot. I don't think I can just go for an Iron Head, because if this Slowking happens to have Psychic or something, then he pretty much knocks out Garchomp. So I'm like, I have to play it safe here and go for the Earthquake, and just, if he switches out to anything other than Mismagius, I'll get some damage. Otherwise, I'm just going to have another turn. I do know also I outspeed the Mismagius. Mismagius comes in, unfortunately, and I go for the Earthquake, which Levitate causes me to miss. Again, second time here that I kind of get bit in the butt by not having the Loaded Dice Scale Shot Garchomp. Probably should have gone with that set. That's what I had originally, and I switched it out. Because now he's just forcing me to switch over and over instead of going offensively with like an Iron Head. I think he's also discovered at this point that I am Scarfed because I keep having to switch when I do have good matchups. So I think, honestly, that last-second decision, which I always prep so well, and then I make these stupid last-second changes, and it just bites me in the butt. I need to stop doing that. I've now traded Garchomp anyways, so next week I won't even have these decisions to make. But yeah, I mean, at this point I'm on my back foot. I just need to chip away as much as I can so that when I bring back in the Garchomp and the Iron Valiant, I can get as much damage as possible. Dugtrio here does come in. it is going to, assuming it's not Scarfed and it is banded, which I'm pretty sure it's banded at this point, it is going to knock out everything, but it won't outspeed everything. I will outspeed with Iron Valiant after the booster energy, and I will outspeed with Garchomp because of this Choice Scarf. That is the one benefit to the Choice Scarf, is I do get to outspeed everything he brings except for Meowscarada if that thing is Choice Scarf. And now I have no choice. I've got to try to start reverse sweeping with Katniss, and then I can go Garchomp at the end if there's something left. So I go the Shadow Ball to knock out Akbar the Dugtrio. Funny name there. Makes sense. That thing took out half my team. Really good bring on his part. And now is the question, how strong is this Slowking? Probably too strong. I think it would normally take me at least 2 hits to take down a Slowking, and I am proven correctly. Now it's a matter of, did my extra defensive EVs do enough for me? They did not. He did have the Psychic, so going for Earthquake on this Slowking I think was the right play a few turns ago. It's just at this point I don't have much I can do. Now I do outspeed again, but once again he's able to either stay in and Psychic, or I can go for the Earthquake and he's going to switch out. This time, once again, he's just out mind gaming me. He switches into the Goodra. I go for the Iron Head thinking he's going to go into Mismagius, and I am just like, well played, Skirmisher. I'm stuck in the Iron Head. I can't switch out. I'm hoping for flinches at this point. I am not going to get the flinches. He is going to Draco Meteor for the victory. Overall, I am mostly satisfied with how I played. I think that Choice Scarf could have gone either way. Loaded Dice Garchomp would have given me more flexibility, but then on the other hand, I would not have outsped the Cobalion, most likely. I wouldn't outspeed Mismagius, I wouldn't outspeed Meowscarada or Dugtrio, so it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Really, honestly, I was pretty happy with the way I played. If I had made a couple better predictions, which I know, I'm going against somebody who's very good at these battles, so guaranteed good predictions can't always even be good predictions, but you know, just a couple swaps there. If I predict that he's going to switch into the if I go for the Earthquake on the turn that he stays in with Cobalion, I get a knockout there. If I do predict correctly when he does switch into Mismagius and I hit with the Levitate, I get a knockout there. And then right here on the very last turn, which I can't win at this point because if I go for Earthquake, even if I knock out Goodra, he just goes into Mismagius and I am locked in on the Earthquake at that point. I really just should have probably still brought that Dragon Scale, the Dragon Shot, whatever the name of the stupid attack is. It would have lowered my defense, but it would have raised my speed. I could have outsped from there. I forget if I did see his team after the fact, but I forget if he had a Choice Scarfed or a Choice Banded Meowscarada. If that would have been the wild card, I think he probably still kills Garchomp with Meowscarada. It could have been a little closer. Overall, I'm not super disappointed. On to next week, though. I'm now 1-3 in both leagues, and I really need to string together some wins here if I want to make the playoffs. Thank you all for watching, and per usual, clap your hands.